For your grandma, the biggest internet mystery is how to get the gosh darned superhighway jigger to work when she's sure she's pressed all the right buttons on the microwave. But for the rest of us, there are several very real and very frightening mysteries about the internet which people have yet to solve. Who has been hacking the world's governments for the past 10 years? Who created the Bitcoin? And why is the website of a long-dead suicide cult still answering emails? Let's take a look in our list of 7 intriguing internet mysteries. Number 7. How deep is the deep web? 2 decades ago, there were around 3,000 websites at most, and today it is estimated there are more than 1 billion websites on the visible web. But deep web websites hide their IP addresses, and this makes them harder to search for, harder to track, and virtually impossible to count, and with good reason. The deep web refers to any pages that search engines cannot find, and much of it comprises of the pages index sites require to work but don't need to show you. However, some of the deep web is also made up of the dark web, which requires the Tor browser to access. You've probably heard all sorts of stories about the kind of sites available here, pages offering drugs for sale, stolen credit card numbers, and the worst kinds of pornography available. But just how many of these sites there are in the dark web is tough to figure out, and it's even harder to calculate how many are in the wider deep web. In 2014, it was speculated that the deep web was 500 times bigger than the visible web, and if that's true, it could be humongous today, especially if our next entry exists. Number 6. The Marianas Web. Named after the deepest ocean trench on Earth, the Marianas Web is a purported 4th level of the internet, which contains some of humanity's most treasured secrets and disgraceful material. Sounds neat. If the top level includes Facebook, Google, and RussianBrides.com, the second level is made up of the innocent and functional deep web we mentioned earlier. Then you have the dark web at the 3rd level, but some believe beneath this is an even murkier part of the web, one which is virtually impossible to access. Because there's no way of verifying its existence, the Marianas Web has attracted some crazy speculation regarding its origins and content. If the dark web contains horrible abuse and illegal narcotics, what terrible acts must the Marianas Web facilitate? Terrorism? An archive of Rule 34 material? Evidence of a Donald Trump nip slip? Some claim its content isn't grotesque, but merely so world-changing it has to be kept secret. The real location of Atlantis, the Vatican's secret archives, and even an active, artificially intelligent presence which is controlling the internet from the depths of the virtual world. These are just some of the insane claims about the Marianas Web, but with no concrete proof that this level even exists, and most of its lore the ramblings of paranoid conspiracy theorists. Many have taken to renaming it as the Derp Web. I like that name. Number 5. Who is Cicadia 3301? We've covered the exploits of Cicadia 3301 several times on this channel, but to this day it remains a mystery as to whom exactly this anonymous puzzle posting organization is. Beginning with their first set of puzzles in 2012, further cryptic conundrums were posted in January 2013, 2014, and 2016, with the stated purpose being to recruit intelligent individuals. As ever with the absence of information, the public speculation has ranged from the believable to the downright retarded. Anonymous, the Freemasons, the Illuminati, the CIA, the NSA, and MI6 have all been put forward as suspects, as has the idea that it is just one big alternate reality game. But each year, once the winners are chosen, they seem to disappear out of sight and have reported being asked to solve more puzzles in secret. So where they go from here and who is behind these puzzles remains shrouded in mystery. Number 4. Who is behind GhostNet? In 2009, researchers at the Information Warfare Monitor discovered an online cyber spying operation which threatened and continues to threaten the security of every single online person on Earth. The investigation found a network of 1,295 infected hosts, which doesn't sound a lot, but nearly a third of these were extremely high-value targets, including computers at foreign embassies, international organizations, media outlets, and NGOs spread across 103 different countries. Even the Dalai Lama's computers were infected. Because every time you reincarnate, you gotta change your password. It's the first thing they teach you in Buddhism 101. Since GhostNet's discovery, it has continued to infiltrate other major organizations, but governments frequently hide these incidents for fear of inciting further attacks. To this day, we have no proof of who is behind GhostNet, but with the organization being consistently controlled by IP addresses located in China, we have a few good guesses. Number 3. The Dead Cult's living site. On March 26, 1997, 39 members of Heaven's Gate cult committed suicide on the orders of their leader, Marshall Applewhite. He told his followers that upon death, their souls would be transported to a spaceship which was traveling the Hale-Bopp comet, and that this was necessary if humanity were to survive a forthcoming alien cleansing of our planet. Members of his group were told to leave their jobs and relationships, give up their money, and some male followers even castrated themselves. You've got to be pretty damn charming to get someone to cut their nuts off, but it seems Marshall Applewhite certainly was that persuasive, because not only was he responsible for the worst mass suicide on American soil, but his influence continues to this day. The Heaven's Gate website remains functional 19 years after the suicide event, and if you email it, you may still receive a response. Several Reddit users have tried this, and this was one of the replies. Begin quote, "We were in the group for 12 years and they asked us to maintain the website, emails, and the physical and intellectual property of the group." End quote. So is Heaven's Gate still recruiting members? And if so, are we soon to witness yet another devastating mass suicide? Number 2. Internet black holes. Have you ever sent an email that was never delivered? Ever placed an order for something that mysteriously never went through? Perhaps you forgot to click checkout because you were drunk, or maybe your data was swallowed up by one of the internet's mysterious black holes. Since 2008, engineers have been at a loss to explain why huge amounts of information keeps disappearing at random from online communications. And whereas some blame firewalls and dead IP addresses, others have speculated a more sinister cause for this phenomenon. In 2013, an internet black hole was discovered operating in ways nobody had seen before. Someone was diverting traffic meant for government agencies around the world, rerouting it through their own systems, and then sending it on as if nothing had happened. So if these internet black holes aren't actually losing information, who is operating them, and what are they doing with our data? Number 1. Who created Bitcoin? Bitcoin is a digital asset and payment system introduced in 2009 and has been referred to as the world's first decentralized digital currency. Bitcoin has grown from its humble beginnings into a legitimate online payment method, and whilst it has dropped from a 2014 value of nearly $1,200 per Bitcoin, today's $639 value shows a gradual recovery from its dip over the past 2 years. This dip was blamed on several things, but not least its secretive origins and its association with illegal activities. Bitcoin was purported to have been created by a 30-something Japanese man called Satoshi Nakamoto, but this is almost certainly a pseudonym. So who is this mysterious creator? Computer scientist and cryptographer Nick Szabo came under suspicion first, and the now deceased Bitcoin pioneer Hal Finney was also rumored to be its founder. But in December 2015, Australian academic Craig Stephen Wright was outed by Wired magazine as a potential candidate, and within hours his house was raided by Australian police for a supposedly different matter. Wright later admitted being Bitcoin's creator, but the proof he has given for this has subsequently been discredited. Other purported creators have included an Irish student, a Finnish economist, a Japanese mathematician, and that Satoshi Nakamoto is actually a pseudonym for a whole team of people. Will we ever find out who really created Bitcoin? Why have they hoarded a fortune of Bitcoins worth $450 million? And is there a very good reason why this person or people wish to remain in the shadows? We may never find out the answer to many of the questions on this list, but if you're hankering for even more unsolved mysteries, then watch our recent video on the top 7 civilizations who mysteriously disappeared. Maybe the Marianas Web knows why they vanished, because we sure as hell don't.